You've probably told someone to stop cracking their knuckles. Maybe you even said it with that specific disgusted face, the full cringe. That's so bad for you, warning delivered like you work in a hospital, and there's a decent chance you said it while absent-mindedly cracking your own fingers under the table without even noticing. So what's actually happening when you do that? Is it bone grinding on bone? Is it something snapping loose inside the joint? Does it actually cause arthritis, or is that just something parents repeat because their parents said it first? Why does it feel so satisfying to do something that sounds so wrong? And why? This one's strange. Why can't you do it twice in a row? Let's get into it. Your knuckle is where two finger bones meet. That meeting point is wrapped in a sealed capsule, and inside that capsule is a slippery liquid called synovial fluid. Think of it like the WD-40 your body makes for free all day, every day, without you doing anything. That fluid keeps the joint moving smoothly so your bones don't grind against each other. But here's the part people never think about. The fluid is pressurized, and dissolved inside it are gases, mostly carbon dioxide, some nitrogen, some oxygen. Your knuckle isn't just a bone hinge. It's a sealed pressure system sitting quietly inside your hand. And pressure systems do something very specific when you mess with them. When you pull a finger back or squeeze it sideways, you're stretching that capsule. The space inside gets bigger. The pressure drops fast, faster than you'd expect from something that small. And when pressure drops quickly inside a liquid full of dissolved gas, the gas has to go somewhere, so it rushes out of the fluid and forms a bubble, almost like a tiny carbonation event inside your joint. Then, almost instantly, that bubble collapses in on itself. That collapse, that small implosion happening inside a fluid sac no bigger than a marble, is the crack. The whole sequence from bubble forming to bubble collapsing takes less than 1/10 of a second. You're not grinding bone against bone. You're not snapping a tendon. You're popping a microscopic gas bubble inside your own hand. That's the whole story. Except it's not, because the details get stranger the further you go. This process even has a name. Cavitation. It means the formation and sudden collapse of bubbles in a liquid under changing pressure. Scientists argued about the exact cause of the knuckle crack for over 60 years. One early theory said the sound came from the bubble forming. A later research team said no, it's the bubble collapsing. Both sides had evidence, both sides had papers. For 6 decades, no one could fully prove it either way. Then in 2015, researchers used real-time imaging, basically an MRI that could film what was happening inside a joint while someone cracked it, and they finally confirmed it. The crack is the collapse, not the formation. 6 decades of scientific debate, settled by filming a finger joint at the right moment. That's how recently we actually knew for sure. But here's where it gets weird. After you crack a knuckle, you can't do it again right away. You've tried. Everyone has. You pull the finger back, nothing happens, and you feel cheated. The reason is straightforward once you know it. The gas that just escaped into the bubble now has to dissolve back into the fluid, and that process takes time, roughly 15 to 30 minutes depending on the person and the joint. No gas in solution means no bubble can form, which means no crack. Your knuckle has a built-in cooldown, like a special ability in a video game that locks you out until it recharges. And that satisfying feeling you get when it finally pops, that's not really coming from the sound. It's from the brief pressure drop in the joint itself, which nudges the nerve endings around the capsule. The sound is almost a side effect. The relief, that small release, is the actual payoff your body is responding to. Now here's the question you've been waiting for. Does it cause arthritis? The short answer is no, and the story behind that no is one of the most committed self-experiments in medical history. A doctor named Donald Unger spent 60 years, 6 full decades, cracking the knuckles on only his left hand. His right hand was the control group. Same person, same life, same diet, same everything. He cracked his left his right alone every single day for 60 years. At the end, there was no meaningful difference in arthritis between the two hands. That's one person, so it doesn't count as a large clinical study. But bigger research involving over 300 people found the same result. Habitual knuckle cracking does not cause arthritis. The warning that followed you through childhood is parental mythology wearing a medical costume. So where did that belief come from in the first place? Joint manipulation, Popping, cracking, adjusting goes back thousands of years. Ancient Greek physicians did it deliberately as part of treatment. Traditional healers in China and Egypt used similar techniques long before modern medicine had names for any of it. The body has always made these sounds, but somewhere in the 20th century, the cringe response took over in Western culture. The sound of a crack got filed in the brain right next to the sound of something breaking, and once that mental connection formed, the warning followed naturally. The sound seemed violent, but nothing was actually breaking. Therefore, the rule against cracking stopped being medical and became social. It's not about your joints, it's about what's considered polite in a quiet room full of people eating lunch. Now here's a contrast worth making because your body produces a lot of different sounds, and they definitely don't all mean the same thing. When your knuckle cracks, that's cavitation. The bubble collapse inside the capsule. But when your knee clicks going up the stairs or your ankle pops when you roll it in a circle, that's usually something completely different. That sound often comes from a tendon or ligament snapping over a small bony ridge as the joint moves, like a guitar string briefly catching on a fret and releasing. Same general sound category, totally different cause, totally different physics. And the crack in your neck when you turn your head too fast? That's frequently tendons shifting across bone, not bubble mechanics at all. Your body is noisier and more complicated than anyone gives it credit for, and most of those sounds have their own separate explanation that has nothing to do with anything being damaged. But here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. The same bubble physics happening inside your finger joint shows up in places you'd never think to connect. Ship propellers, for one. When a propeller spins fast enough, the blades create low-pressure zones in the surrounding water, and cavitation bubbles form and collapse against the metal surface. Over time, those tiny implosions eat into solid steel, pitting the blade the way slow erosion pits a riverbank, just faster and more expensive. Naval engineers spend enormous amounts of money designing propellers that minimize cavitation damage, billions of dollars of engineering, aimed at stopping the same basic physics event that happens in your hand every time you pull a finger back. The mantis shrimp does something even more extreme. It punches so fast, faster than a bullet leaving a small gun, that it creates cavitation bubbles in the water directly in front of its claw. Those bubbles collapse with enough force to stun or kill prey, even if the punch itself barely connects. A shrimp using bubble physics as an actual weapon every single hunt. Doctors figured out how to use it too. Ultrasound machines aimed at kidney stones use controlled cavitation. Carefully targeted bubble collapses to break the stones into small pieces without cutting anything open. Hydraulic pumps in heavy machinery fail from cavitation regularly, which is one of the main reasons industrial pumps wear out faster than they should and need expensive replacement. The ASMR videos of knuckle cracking that rack up millions of views? Pure bubble physics, somehow making strangers feel inexplicably calm through a screen. When you warm up your joints before a workout and feel them loosen up, you're moving synovial fluid around and sometimes releasing small pockets of dissolved gas, not stretching tissue, just redistributing the lubricant that was sitting still. When a chiropractor adjusts your spine and you hear that sharp pop, that's the same cavitation event, just scaled up to a larger joint with more fluid and more pressure. Even the cringe you feel watching someone else crack their knuckles across the room is its own interesting thing, an auditory disgust. Reflex, your brain pattern, matching a sharp cracking sound to something breaking, even when your brain also knows perfectly well that nothing is. Now for the part that's actually true and worth knowing. Knuckle cracking almost certainly won't give you arthritis. The evidence on that is pretty solid, but it's not completely without any effect either, and it's worth being honest about that. Some research suggests that cracking your knuckles very hard and very often over many decades might slightly reduce grip strength and cause minor swelling in the soft tissue around the joint. Not arthritis, not dramatic damage, but not zero consequence across a lifetime either. The tissue around the capsule gets stretched repeatedly, and anything you do repeatedly and forcefully for 40 or 50 years tends to leave some kind of mark. So the reasonable, non-panicked position is this: crack your knuckles if it feels good and you want to, but don't wrench them, don't force it. The danger, people, warned you about is vastly overstated, but probably fine if you're reasonable about it, and absolutely no effect whatsoever are two different things, and only one of them is accurate. When you crack your knuckles, you're collapsing a gas bubble inside a pressurized fluid sac in less than a blink. The warning you grew up hearing was social discomfort wearing a medical uniform. The most satisfying sounds your body makes aren't damage, they're just physics doing what physics does.